Welcome to episode 8 of the Australian Jazz Museum podcast. In the previous episodes, you may have heard me make note that a particular recording, especially ones from vinyl, was a little crunchy. The music in the Jazz Museum is largely as we receive it. We don't do any restoration unless it's for the preparation of the CD series, which Ken Simpson-Bull has been doing over the years. For this podcast, I'm steering away from really bad recordings, and there are some, but largely I'm presenting the content as is, and all I'm doing would be fading a little bit of noise at the start or the end and making sure that the volumes across the tracks are roughly equal. So hopefully that works, and if you hear stuff that sounds a little grubby, well, it was a little grubby, and we're not putting it in the archive in a changed state, at least for the initial preservation purposes. Today I've got, as you might expect, another 5 fine pianists for you to enjoy, and I'll present them. The first track today is from an album. I think I've presented tracks from this album already. It's called The Pianists, a showcase of Melbourne's finest, 1993. It's available in the shop as VJazz 20, if I haven't mentioned that before. Shameless plug. The pianist featuring today is doing a solo performance, and it's John Adams. So the recording was made in Box Hill in 1993, and John's performing a Billy Strayhorn tune called Lotus Blossom. The next track comes from a series called Jazz in Australia. This is volume 6. It was published by Parlophone, and the recording was in 1956, so it's on vinyl. The band is Cootamundra Jazz Band, and the pianist is John Ansell. John is performing A Little Street Where Old Friends Meet. And in the band we've got Lloyd Jansen on trumpet, John Costello on trombone, Greg Gibson clarinet, John on piano, Bob Cowell on string bass, and Kevin MacArthur on drums. This is a recording from the Geelong Jazz Festival at the Plaza Theatre on Queen's birthday. Recorded in 1960, we have George Barby from the album George Barby Piano with Rhythm, playing with bass and drums. Now I've got Chris Ludovic on string bass, and I can hear a drummer, but the drummer's not named. The piece that I've selected today is one of my favourites. I go back to an album I heard decades ago with Oscar Peterson and Count Basie playing a selection of standards on piano and electric piano. It was called The Timekeepers, and on that I heard a song called Indiana, and I've never forgotten it, and every performance of Indiana that I ever hear gets compared with that one. And I must say, I really enjoyed George Barby's performance, so I hope you do as well. For a change of pace, I'm moving to Nat Bartsch, who's one of our contemporary jazz pianists. Nat's work explores the space between classical and jazz genres, and this particular track is one of her relaxed and ambient style. So take a breath while you can, as the final track I have on this episode is far from relaxed. This is from the album Hope Renewed, and it's called Hope. We have Nat on piano, synth and electronics, Robbie Melville on guitars, Tamara Murphy on double bass and electric bass, Madison Carter on drums, a string section of Lucy Warren, Eunice Cheng, Rebecca Proieto, Mary Damani on electric harp, and Joseph Lalo on saxophones. As I've expressed on a number of occasions, this journey through the collection is really great for me. I don't have a deep Australian jazz background, but I must say, at least I'm acquiring one. As recently as this morning, when I was chatting about this particular track, I found a YouTube video of the band and had a bit of a listen, enjoyed that as well. And then with a bit more Googling, I found a picture of the lead singer. I thought, I know her. I'd known the picture, but I didn't know the name. So now I've put two and two together and added a little bit more to my education. The band we're going to hear is Madam and the Rent Party. And the lady I was talking about is Madam Pat Thompson, who has the lead vocals. When I go through the rest of the musicians, I'll tell you that they all sing, so I'll just call out their main instrument. But the key performer for this focus is David Bates on piano. The song I'm going to present dates from 1919. It's covered by many artists, including Captain Matchbox, Sidney Bechet, Gunhild Carling, and even John Denver. Yeah, John Denver. It's a fantastic track and has a ripping piano solo. And the song is called The Blues My Naughty Sweetie Gave to Me. So Madam and the Rent Party, David, Graham Walker on guitar, Peter Sandlin's on drums, Rob Porter on reeds, Tony King string bass, and Madam Pat on vocals. Enjoy.
There are blues that you get from loneliness. There are blues that you get from pain. There are blues when you're lonely for your one and only. Blues that you'll never explain. There are blues that you get from waiting. The meanest blues that be. The blues that I've got on my mind. Blues that are the meanest kind. Blues my naughty sweetie gives to me.
They're the blues giving women when you see 'em going swimming and you haven't got a bathing suit yourself. They're the blues giving liquor when you feel kind of shaky, done someone takes a bottle of a shelf. They're the blues giving waiting at the dock when the girl doesn't answer when you knock. They're the blues giving sitting in a taxi cab and fretting every time you see me to jump the clock. They're the blues giving trying so burning roof from the eye and they later on forget you in his will. They're the blues giving kiss when you walk with the miss and the chorus and shout.
Hi, Bill.
They're the blues make you quiver, make you wanna shake and shiver. Blues that make you want to enter the river. That's the blues my naughty sweetie gave to me.
That you get from loneliness. There are blues that you get from pain. There are blues when you're lonely for your one and only. Blues that you'll never explain. There are blues that you get from waiting. The meanest blues that be. The blues that I've got on my mind. Blues that are the meanest kind. Blues my naughty sweetie gives to me. The blues.
Just tremendous. I really love that song, and that's a fantastic performance. I can still remember the first time I heard that live. Some mates of mine were performing at one of those little holes in the wall in St Kilda, they let loose on that one, and life was never quite the same again. And that's it for episode 8. Thanks for listening.